Welcome back.
Hi.
That might be something. Maybe I should get in therapy again.
Oh
dear.
no. Isn't that what we're doing? It's like real life.
This is way better than therapy because it's talking to another human being, but somebody I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, that's the hardest part about therapy is you're talking to somebody that you don't necessarily trust. And you want to trust them, but you have to get to know somebody to trust them. And you're just going to this person to say, here's all my life problems. What do I do?
Well, like I found that, by the way, new set, guys, like this is going to be like the new thing.
The new.
I found therapy, like the first couple times, like maybe even the first like 4 times I went to therapy, I didn't say a word.
A word?
I did not say a word. I was going through a really rough time.
And you just sat there awkwardly.
Yeah. Remember when I was telling you about my panic attacks that I get?
Yeah.
Yeah. This was when those first started, and I thought I was dying. About 4 years ago. Yeah, I don't really want to talk about it.
Okay. I was just curious if they were like a lifelong thing or if
no,
they started when you had kids and became a parent. Or because I can see panic attacks starting as soon as somebody has a child. Be like, oh my God, they're going to die at every turn.
I mean, maybe they did. I don't know. But maybe they just they escalated definitely about 4 to 5 years ago. But I finally reached out to my husband. I'm like, I got to get some help. And he'd been like noticing like, hey, we need to talk about what's going on with you.
What a good husband though. Like, he actually called you on it and said,
you know what?
Literally
we
stepped
have to
up. Get you help.
Yeah. Yeah. He stepped up and it was so hard. Like I couldn't go to Walmart. I could not. I would walk into the doors at Walmart and walk right back out. It was that bad.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I've come a long way in the last 4 years. Like you're literally learning this about me right now.
I am.
And it's even sometimes still like we were at Meijer yesterday because that was stupid.
It was. I went grocery shopping today
and it was so dumb.
I got in and out, except I did. Oh, I'll tell you this story in a minute.
Okay. Anyway, so like we started at therapy and I'm in there and I just freeze. I freeze. I can't talk. I can't say a word. And so the therapist just kind of took over and she's like, just talking and, giving, some of what she sees and what she, some of her life experience. Like she wasn't even talking about anything like relevant to me. She didn't know anything about me.
Yeah.
So that kind of helped like build the trust.
Oh, absolutely.
Like to where I'm able to open up about eventually I was able to open up about, like what's actually going on with me and, this is what I'm dealing with right now. But I feel like the anonymity, I know that's a word. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Anonymity.
Is that what you said?
I don't know.
we have a podcast. We have Strong. Let's add. How did you say it?
Anonymity. I don't
it's
know.
Like anonymity.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like, she doesn't really know me. And part of my anxiety was stemming from like the people that I knew. So to have somebody right.
You don't get anxiety from strangers. Maybe if you have social anxiety, but all of your anxiety comes from people in your life.
Yeah. So yeah, just I was able to open up to her because she didn't know anything about me. Now, for other people, that might not work, right?
I mean, yes, but I will have to agree with you in that aspect. When it comes to therapy specifically, I am more inclined to open up to somebody that doesn't know my situation because they're not going into it with a bias of, oh, well, I heard X, Y, and Z, or I know blah, blah, blah already. They're going in, they're getting my honest feelings, my honest viewpoint. And that enables me to feel more comfortable because there's no bias.
Yeah, I like that, that aspect about like just being able to share yourself to somebody who already doesn't have all of these assumptions about you.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's needed.
It's really needed. It is needed. So God, I had a thought, and then I looked outside, and it's gloom and doom outside, and I lost it.
I'm going to tell you my grocery shopping story from
Let's hear
today
it.
while you remember your thought.
Okay.
I
It
needed
won't
to
happen,
stock
but-
up because, you know, we're not going to leave our houses tomorrow, it seems. And I went to Aldi. I love Aldi. But as I was walking around the store, I kept noticing these two guys that were always near me.
Doesn't that freak you out?
Oh, man, it does. And I'm that person who I wear headphones when I grocery shop. So I've got my music in. I'm in the zone. I go in, get what I need, get out, and I'm done. Well, these two guys, I just kept noticing them popping up relatively close to me. Could they have been normal, decent human beings? Absolutely. But there's just that gut feeling that I said, you need to avoid them. Go somewhere else.
That's creepy.
And I kept going. Well, then I get out to my car. I had 3 bags of groceries. I did not take my purse in. I only take my wallet in because I don't want to leave anything. So I have that under my arm. I don't have to worry about carrying excess stuff, and then reusable grocery bags. So I'm sitting in there. I get all my bags bagged up. I had 3 of them. I grabbed everything. I looked back on the counter as I was going out to make sure I had everything. And I get in my car and I pop my trunk. I get the bags put in. I take the laundry, or not the laundry basket, the grocery cart.
Get it together.
I have laundry in my dryer right now. That's why I thought that. But I take the grocery cart back and I get my quarter out. I go back to my car and I'm sitting in my car. I turned it on. And then all of a sudden there's this knock on my window.
Oh
and it
my
was one of those guys.
God.
And instantly I hit the lock button. I cracked my window like this far, just a tiny bit. And I said, hi. And he's like, hey, there was something left on, or a bag left on the counter in there, and we thought it might be yours. And he had a woman with him, which you'd think would make me feel better about this situation.
It shouldn't.
But it doesn't. In this day and age, I mean, you get crazy people of all kinds, and just because a man has a woman with him doesn't mean he's not a psychopath.
Well, also, there's the whole like human trafficking thing right now, and they're actually using other women to get to women.
Oh, yeah. And it
So-
makes you feel safe. And it's one of those where in that moment, I felt like he was wanting me to get out of my car and go back in the store, because then there's this other guy probably behind the back of the car to my left, because he knocked on the passenger door, where I'm like, if I get out and walk back in, they're going to grab me. And I just looked at him and I said, no, I only had 3 bags. Thanks, though. And
Oh my God, did
He-
you almost get kidnapped?
I think I might have. I think if I would have gotten out of my car, it could have happened. And I don't like that. I don't like any part of that. But then it makes me worry, because you get all these people out here who, I'm one of those people who I want to see the best in humans. And I want to see sunshine and rainbows, and like everybody's my best friend. And if I would have done that today, if I would have rolled my window down a little bit further, if I wouldn't have locked my doors, like any and everything that I did, if I wouldn't have done one thing, would I be sitting here right now?
I don't think you would be.
I don't
I'm
either.
so scared right now. Like
my
that's
God.
that's close. That's way too close to home.
It's so close to home.
You hear about this kind of stuff though.
All
Like there
the
was an
time.
Incident at Taco Bell like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, I
last
read
year or
about that one.
something. Yeah. Oh
where
my
they're
God.
like paying for meals and then they pull up and wait for the car to pull out of the drive-through and
Yeah,
follow them.
That's insane.
It is terrifying. I mean, I've been in awkward situations before, but never one like that. And I think, like, I was still nice about the whole situation, where I could have easily said, no, get the fuck away from my car.
Well, yeah,
But-
because you don't want to be that person, you
And
know.
I even,
But-
when I saw this man, because he scared me. I was looking down, like getting ready to drive away. And then all of a sudden there's this knock, and I jumped and I looked. And as soon as I saw a man there, I looked at my lock and I pressed my lock, and then I rolled my window down. So it wasn't a question as to,
Yeah.
maybe this girl doesn't have her car locked. I was like, try me, because you're going to see this much of my window.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that I just locked my car.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come up with something better.
I don't like it. I don't like it. And ugh. Anyway.
Oh,
But still.
I have a. I don't know if this is an actual memory. You know how like when you're really young, like your brain just like makes shit up.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is an actual memory, but I used to live in Columbus on the east side.
Oh.
It was an okay area at the time. I mean, we're talking like late 80s here.
Yeah,
It was an okay area. The mall was like, it was fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. It's great. So we didn't like live in a bad area, but it was still like you're still on the east side of Columbus, and so my mom's always like super careful because she grew up in Hilltop.
I don't know where that is.
It's
Is it sketchy?
It's
Sketchy AF.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super sketchy. Like she told me some stories growing up where like you had to be careful like walking home because like some guy would pull up in his car and he'd have his wang out or whatever. She told me so many stories.
Did she
like,
actually say his wang out?
She has colorful language, but
God bless your mother.
you know, so she's telling me all of this stuff, like, and I'm like 5 years old. Like,
Oh,
okay,
God.
well, you know, Mom, it's fine. So, the bus stop pulled up. It was about, you know, right around the corner from my house. It wasn't quite a block, so Mom would like walk up to the bus stop and get me and take me home.
Yeah. You know, like most parents
do. And if she wasn't there, I would just continue to walk on home by myself.
Oh, my God.
You know, but there's other kids around. So I start to walk home, and this lady pulls up, and I think she was like, she must have been like 60, 70 years old. She pulls up, and she's like, your mom told me that I had to come pick you up.
Said, no, she didn't. Thank you.
I didn't say that. I just kind of stood there looking at her like, I don't really know who you are. Why would my mom tell you to come pick me up? My house is right. I can see my house. It's right there. And then I see my mom come around the corner. I'm like, oh, hey, Mom. Hey, what's up? I had a great day. I learned my ABCs. We had a snack. It was chill. So I don't know. I don't know if that's an actual memory or if it's something that I fabricated. But I remember it very vividly.
I feel like if you remember it that vividly, it's not fabricated.
It could be, though.
It could be. But now
I'm going to have to ask my mom if she remembers
You
that.
should ask your mom.
Yeah.
Well, I actually recently told my mom about this, where this was at the library in town. Okay, in town. I remember being about 5 or 6 years old, and her and I were there. Well, I was walking, we were on the upstairs level, and I'm walking in and out of all of these columns of books, just wandering like a little kid does. We're in a small town, hometown. Everybody knows everybody.
Nothing bad happens here.
Nothing bad ever happens here. And then all of a sudden, I remember seeing this guy in his probably mid to late 20s, just all of a sudden in every row that I was in. And I would see him, and I'd turn, and I'd go the other way, because I was old enough to know, you know, stranger danger, run away. So I tried that, and every time I went into a different aisle, he was right there until I walked around. And he'd get closer in every single aisle. And I'd keep turning around, going the other way. Finally, I went down one, and I saw my mom. I was like, Mom! And I ran to her. And this guy turned the corner, saw me with her, and turned and walked out of the library.
Oh, my God.
And I know that
That's
was real.
so scary.
I hate it. But it's one of those things where in this world, you get people who want to see the best in everybody. And you want to be best friends with everybody. And you want, like I've already said, those sunshine and rainbows. And you try to live like that. And you can't, because that's not the world we live in. And that's why we need, what do we need?
We need boundaries.
We need boundaries. We need to know who it's acceptable to do what with. And when there's a stranger knocking at your car window, do not roll down your window the whole way. Don't ever do it.
I mean, even if you're a man, like they're targeting men.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Men aren't safe at all.
No one is safe. It's terrible.
You're probably safer with a group.
Yeah.
But
even so, I'm the wanderer in a group.
Nobody.
Well, I was. I'm not the wanderer anymore, but I used to be. I would be out with a group of friends, and then I'd
just go off and do your own thing, and then circle
I
back
didn't know
around.
what this hand motion was for a second.
Circling back,
like,
circling.
Yeah, I would. I would just leave, and I'd make friends with everybody else. So even if you're out with a group, it doesn't mean you're surrounded by these people the whole time. Mm-hmm. And you have to have that defining moment as to, you got to set boundaries with the outside world. I mean, you got to set more boundaries than that. But you got to start with boundaries as to, you don't have to be a dick to people.
Like, it wouldn't hurt for you to grow a spine and learn how to be a dick in the appropriate
setting, right? There's a time and a place for it. Don't be a dick unnecessarily, but know that there's a time and a place to give somebody the middle finger.
Right.
You
get off.
The thing.
Step off.
Step back. Thank you. Goodbye. I'll run over your toe. Which I thought about doing to that guy.
Man, I would have been like on the phone calling somebody like right then and there, calling the police like, hey, there's people, or, you know, if you're proactive enough, like just sit there and watch them and see what they do.
Yeah,
you know, we've done that. We've done that at Drug Mart before. There was somebody acting like super shady up at Drug Mart. Yeah, so we called the cops and was like, hey, can you just come check out this car? Because he's acting weird and asking people weird questions and being inappropriate. And
I thought that I should have, but I didn't.
That might have been the right call at that moment, since you were alone.
I pulled out very quickly, and I went to the stoplight, and I was going to turn left, which then I thought I should turn right, just because you can pause and then turn right, and I had to wait for the light to turn left.
Yeah.
But the whole time I'm sitting at that light, I kept glancing, and I'm looking over this way, and I was like, they're still parked. They're still in the parking lot. They're not behind me yet. And up until I got to my next spot, I was in my rear view, like every 5 seconds, just to double check if this truck was behind me. I didn't like it. It's okay. Anyway,
so trust and boundaries, and
boundaries, and don't trust the general public, I think, is where we're starting with this.
Yeah.
Do not trust the general public. It would be nice if you could. You can't.
And it's hard when someone like you is an oversharer and you want to be able to trust people with, you know, certain information, and you just want to be able to have that connection with people. Yeah. But you can't do it because not everybody is trustworthy enough to be able to handle everything that you're throwing at them, you know?
Facts.
So, like, where do you find that you need to draw the line with yourself? Like, how much are you going to share? Is it going to be, I don't know. Like, how do you do it? Oversharer?
Yes, thank you. We all know I'm an oversharer at this point. I'm not even as bad as I used to be.
That's good though. That's progress.
Progress. Yay, growth. Growth is so good. I'm really not as bad as I used to be though. Well, here's the thing with being an oversharer. And initially,
like, I truly want to know, because I don't talk about myself to anybody. So, like,
my logic on it always was I didn't have anything to hide. So I didn't care what people knew. I was an open book, not because I wanted people to know everything, but because it was just a story.
Like, do you still feel like that's okay? Like, you don't care what people know about you or how they feel? Like, I don't know. I know this is hard, and I know I'm like kind of putting you to the fire right now.
It is hard. I don't care though, because I have learned a very valuable lesson. People believe what they want to believe. It doesn't care. I've been put in enough situations where my name has been run through the mud. I don't care. I could be the best person in the world, and somebody's still going to have a problem with it.
That's absolutely true.
I could be the worst person in the world, and somebody's going to find a way to love me. Because people see what they want to see. People believe what they want to believe. So I don't defend myself anymore. I don't get in arguments with people about myself anymore, because I know what I've been through. I know the decisions that I've made. I know where my heart was in any given moment. And if somebody disagrees with me, that's fine. They're not me. So that's, I think, how I've come to terms with it, in the aspect of now, if somebody asks me a question, I'm still an open book.
Yeah.
I will tell my story, but I never volunteer more information than necessary.
That's smart, and I feel like when you're used to being an open book, it's probably a not an easy thing to learn how to do.
It's not. It's
to learn.
Man, it takes going through hell and back to figure it out. It really does. But to realize that, like, without going into detail, you know the situation of the conversation that I had to have last June and telling somebody, you know, I feel like you deserve to know who this person is. Mm-hmm. And the response that I got back was essentially, fuck off. And that's fine. But that's what that person wanted to believe. Even though there was evidence otherwise, they chose to believe what they already had in their brain.
So you feel that by putting yourself out there and basically like a no holds barred attitude, like this is me, this is who I am, this is what I've been through, this is everything about me that you could possibly need to know. You feel like there is nothing that anybody can say, no matter what they believe, that is going to be able to dispute that. So even if
they could probably dispute
even if they are like fuck off, you're like, well, I mean, that's fine, but I know that what I said was true. Even if you don't believe it, you're not going to find any evidence out there.
How's this? I'm responsible for what I said.
Hey,
I'm not responsible for how you took it.
That's true.
I cling to that one.
So for somebody like me who does not put everything out there, and I tend to beat around the bush.
Like, ridiculously.
I do, though. But, I mean, for someone like me who does that and likes the wordplay and all of that, like, people can now pick up on whatever they want to pick up on what I say because I'm not being straightforward with my words.
But even when you are straightforward, people are going to do the same thing.
Yeah, they are. I just feel like someone like you who just puts it all out there.
Someone like me.
I don't know. People might not agree with me about this one, but I feel like people who are always straightforward with their words, even if they're not pleasant or easy to hear, can be a little bit more trustworthy than someone like me who likes to play with words and not really say exactly like what's on their mind. You know what I mean?
No, I disagree because trust is...
I was trying to give you credit here, but that's all right.
Well, because look at it from the angle of if you trust somebody with something, okay, I trust you. I know that I can tell you anything and everything, and it's not going to go anywhere.
But how do you know that? How did you get to the point where you knew that?
Well, A, I hung around enough. B, you don't tell things like they are. You're not going to throw anybody's business out there.
That's true, but because again, you don't know that.
I don't know that. It's true. You could be pissed at me. And
I could have a whole Olivia hate channel that you don't even know about, and I'm just out there airing your shit for everybody. I could be, but
trust is a tricky thing.
Oh my God, it is.
And on top of that, you might be able to trust somebody for one part of your life, and then not.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times trust is dictated by emotion. And how somebody feels towards you in any given moment is going to dictate if they're trustworthy with information you have entrusted to them.
I'm sorry, I blacked out. I'm going to have to
That was a lot, wasn't it?
I wasn't listening.
I don't even remember everything I said. What did I say?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even know. It's fine though.
Let's try again. Trust is dictated by emotion.
Yes.
So if somebody's angry at you,
can your emotions be trusted?
Yeah. It's about learning to manage yourself no matter how your feelings are. It's about, you ready?
I can't wait to get into emotions.
Are you ready?
Like primary and secondary emotions, but yeah, I'm ready.
It's about your energy. It's about your energy not being dictated by your mood.
Yeah.
Because we go through how many moods in a day? You go from scared, happy, upset, thrilled, whatever.
Really depends on the day.
Yeah, it depends on the day. It depends on what's going on in your life. And trust can be dictated by that. If you put somebody in the right situation, you don't know what they do. So how do you decide to trust somebody? You pretty much just put all your eggs in one basket and say, I'm really just hoping for the best here, that you don't throw me under the bus one day.
Aren't you worried about somebody being able to, emotions can be very easily manipulated.
Extremely.
So are you worried about somebody manipulating that trust, or are you kind of just like, well, I'm trusting this person, and if they turn their back on me later, oh well. Because that's kind of where I'm at right now.
With what?
With just trust in general. Like so like you come into my life and I'm like, all right, you're pretty cool. I'm going to trust you and we're going to.
That is not how it went at all.
I'm just, okay, hypothetically, like we're going to be friends and shit now. So
anyway.
But I also know that there's a chance that later down the line, like I've put all of this trust into you, like we've had all of these experiences together. I've told you all of these things. There's a chance down the line that you're going to be like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it anymore. So, here you go. And then I have to now deal with either that sucks, I should have never trusted that person, or I could just be like, no. Oh, well, it was nice while it lasted.
You can feel both ways.
You could, I guess, yeah.
You could very easily feel both ways because I've been in that situation where I have felt both ways. Like, oh man, I shouldn't have trusted them, but I did. And that comes back to my favorite phrase of, that's on me.
That's on me. No, it's on you.
I'm like, I made that choice to trust somebody. And I try to look at it as I learned from it. So maybe that person isn't somebody that I should trust, won't ever again. And then to go even further, it helps me create those defining boundaries and figure out what I want to share and know that, the people I am entrusting things to have to, for lack of better words, earn that spot with what I share with them. Because there's different levels to trust.
Oh, absolutely. There's different levels. I mean, like we were talking about with authenticity, there's different levels of being yourself around people. There's different, you can still be genuine, but not be the exact same person at every point in time. I absolutely agree that there's different levels of trust that go along with that, know?
Well, and to go along with that, to get to those levels of trust come boundaries. And this is where I'm going to throw in what I learned.
All right, let's hear it.
So you already know this. Everybody else doesn't. Back in, I about ripped them out.
I mean, if you don't want to hear yourself, just take them out. I'll monitor your own. I'll monitor
It's very weird, but I'm doing my best. Back in August of Jumanji year. So what, 6-7 months ago?
Oh, I don't even know.
I have no idea. I don't want to do math right now, so we're going to say about 6-7 months ago. I think it's 6. Anyway, I put myself through therapy again.
Yes.
But it was not sit down and talk therapy.
For the record, when you were talking about I have to go to therapy, I thought you were talking about physical therapy because you were wearing like a brace or a boot or something. I'm like, oh yeah, she's got physical therapy today. No, that's not what it was. It was actual
therapy.
I kept my mouth shut about that until just now because
that's so funny.
I thought, oh yeah, physical therapy, and then I realized, oh no, she's going to the shrink.
Yeah, I go.
Good for her though.
Go to the shrink. Except not shrink. It was a life coach. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Oh, anyway.
It was a group therapy program. And they were all done through Zoom because my coach was actually out in California.
Oh, fun.
And one of the weeks, we met for 90 minutes once a week for 6 weeks. And I think it was maybe the second week where we were given homework. And it was on boundaries and creating boundaries. And the reason that I love them is because you have an inner circle and then a good circle and then a semicircle, an acquaintance circle, and an outer circle.
That sounds like an art project.
It kind of does. But I mean, it's boundary art.
Aww.
It's boundary art, and it makes your mental health a prettier picture.
You wanna go make some boundary art later?
Yes. Constantly updating
over
it in my
wine.
Head too. Wine sounds good.
Wine and boundary art.
Wine and Oreos. I got Oreo
the
thins
best
today.
Circle.
So good. Okay.
Yeah.
But this inner boundary is reserved for someone, something that you can count on 110% of the time, which realistically, according to my coach, is essentially your higher power,
So like spirituality?
A spirituality and a pet. Because
all right,
even look at your husband. Do you know if you call, if he's going to be available?
right.
That's not 100% of the time. So it doesn't mean he loves you any less, but it just means that inner circle needs to be the one that knows absolutely everything, is guaranteed whatever your higher power is, and maybe your pet. If you want to put your spouse in there, if they do know everything, and if you trust them that much, then absolutely put them in there. If not,
Then
they're in the next circle.
Downgraded to the next circle.
And I don't even call it a downgrade.
All right.
I don't. I can't.
Okay.
It's just they've been moved. You've transitioned. You've transitioned to a new circle. And that circle is you're good. So all of those good people are the people that, they're not there 100% of the time, but they're the ones you can count on.
Yeah.
So for the sake of just saying this, you fall into that circle for me.
Aww.
Do you answer your phone 90% of the time? Absolutely not.
No.
But do I know that I can come to you and tell you what's happened, and that I'm going to get somebody I can bounce ideas off of, and somebody who may or may not judge me, and if you do, you're going to judge me when I walk out the door and be like, oh, God, why'd she show up again? Get out of here. Like that type of thing.
Right.
And then your semicircle is where you can put 90% of the people that you know. Your casual friends, your extended family.
That's where it gets a little bit more tricky for me because I don't know what to call these people. Like, there's not that many of them, but there's enough of them that I don't know how to categorize them. Are they friends? Do I call them friends? Are they acquaintances? Like, what are you to me? Okay.
Well, that's the semicircle. Acquaintances are those people that maybe you work with or you see relatively regularly, but they're not somebody that you would ever ask, hey, do you want to go grab a drink after work? That type of person. Those are your, hey, how are you? Small talk people.
Yeah.
That crew. And then you have your outer ring. That's no contact. I hit the mic.
It's fine.
I did it. But that is no contact. These people are bad for your mental health. Wish them well, send them on their way. And if they come towards you, cross the side or cross to the other side of the street, do whatever you got to do because that's a boundary you don't want to open. And then in that, you figure out what you want to share with each of these levels. So what are you comfortable with 90% of the population in your life knowing about you? What do you want to dive in deeper with would be that good circle. 90% of the population can know how you grew up, but then there's going to be that 10% that's in that good crew that you say, you know what? You know that when I was growing up, X, Y, and Z happened.
Yeah.
So it's just about which parts of your story you want to share with people.
And that's really up to you to decide, like, what information that you're comfortable trusting with other people.
And that's, I think, the good part of boundaries and with the growth that I've gone through in the aspect of I'm still an open book. Somebody asks me a question, I will answer it. How much detail is in that answer depends on who I'm talking to.
Who's got the dictionary?
Yeah.
Who's got the Olivia encyclopedia? Stay tuned. We'll find out.
Oh, man. We may never find out. It's fine. So that's the whole thing. And when it comes to trust, I trust people until I have a reason not to.
I do think that's a good policy to have, though, too, because you don't want to automatically shut people out. We need people, even if you think you don't. I certainly, I fall into that category. I think I don't need people.
Which is why it took like 6 months for us to become acquaintances.
I know.
And then like another 3 months after that to become friends.
To be upgraded, yeah. Yeah, it's some people are just, tougher nuts to crack. But I forget where I was going with that. It doesn't matter anyway. So
no, you are one of those people who like you need people, but you don't want to need people.
Yeah. That's what it was. You don't. I mean, I'm so introverted. I was fine during quarantine. I really didn't need to see other people. I was perfectly okay, just doing me and whatever. But once you get back into like having relationships with people that aren't like family or whatever, you do kind of realize what you've been missing out on, you know? Because it's nice to be able to just bounce things off of people who have a different perspective. So having other people that you can trust that aren't people that are in your everyday life is, I think it's important. And if you are the kind of person who, you know, shuts yourself off, yeah. If you're like me and you just like, you put the wall up and there's got to be a better way to get over it, and maybe we'll talk about that in a future podcast, like learning to open yourself up. And
man, that's hard.
Oh my God, it's so hard. It's so hard. I mean, does it take something like going to a therapist and having them talk to you for 4 hours before you're able to open up? I don't know. It was with me. Having people just come in relentlessly and talking to me about themselves. And I'm like, oh, well, if you feel comfortable enough sharing all of this with me, then maybe I can share something else with you. And that's the story of how we met.
So is that really how we became friends? Is I just kept coming in and you were like, man, she keeps telling me stuff.
I mean, yeah.
Kind of.
It's a little bit, I mean, you know, people are just more complicated than that.
Yeah, we're onions. We already said we're onions.
The layers.
We got layers.
Can we be cakes instead? I'd rather be a delicious layer cake.
I am on board with that.
Yes. What kind of cake are we?
I want to be, okay, I'm either a marble cake or a red velvet cake.
I like it all.
And if I could be like half,
can we be like a 7-layer cake? And then, like, you always get something different with each bite.
Yes.
That's the kind of layer cake I want to be.
That's more accurate, too.
Oh, my God. Are we geniuses?
The bottom layer is red velvet, though. Because it's the biggest layer. It's the best.
Yeah, obviously.
And there's got to be a funfetti layer for the 5-year-old in me.
Yeah, why not? Yes. Everybody loves a funfetti.
Hopefully,
but, yeah,
everybody.
I don't know, like... the journey of me being able to trust people is not an easy one. And I've literally been like this probably my entire life, but it's only gotten worse as I've gotten older. And I don't see myself opening up to too many more people in my life. Like, you're enough.
One and done.
One and done.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, like, you came in and you needed to use my computer a lot. And so I'm like, hey, I got one of those. And then that's just how it happened.
Yeah, it just worked.
If you were wondering. So there you are. The story of us.
And there I'm here. And now here we are.
Here we are. Doing a podcast.
But, okay. So here's the thing with trust that I feel like is misunderstood by a lot of people. We think that in order to trust someone, you have to be able to trust them with your whole entire life. And that's not the case.
This is going into the circles of layers again, isn't it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
But, like, there are people out there that I would trust to take care of my dog for a weekend that I wouldn't trust to tell my entire story to. Mm-hmm. Because I know they're good enough that, hey, you know, they'll take my dog on walks or they'll do X, Y, and Z. But they don't need to know the bad parts of my story. And there are people that I would trust to, if my car broke down, call them and say, can you come get me? And those same people I wouldn't trust with my dog. Because, like, right. I know that you're good for a ride, but I can't guarantee you're going to be functional enough to come get my dog, play with her every day, take her on walks, feed her 2 times a day. I know that's a big commitment. So I know that there are people in my life who would sign up for a smaller commitment of time and energy, and those who would sign up for a larger commitment. And we get lost in, if we want to trust people, we want to trust them with everything. We want to trust somebody and say, you know what, I can trust you with all the good, all the bad.
Yeah.
That's not the case. Sometimes
Unfortunately, it's not. Sometimes it's the type of thing that you have to learn and you have to have gone through to be able to understand, oh, I can't trust people the way I thought I could. This was a bad thing. How do you deal with that betrayal of trust?
Well, you said you can't trust people the way you thought you could. Mm-hmm. That's on you.
That's on me.
That's on you again. It's very much what you choose to put in somebody else's hands, and also how you're able to read people. I used to want to be, not even used to want to be, I still am. I want to see the best in people, even the worst people. I want to see the good in them, and I will shoot to find the good in them.
Yeah.
But even so, it doesn't mean I have to trust them, because people show you who they are, whether they realize it or not.
Eventually.
People always show you who they are. And
It's kind of like a trusting your gut thing too.
It's
sometimes
intuition.
If
It
you
is.
don't trust your gut and you just fall in with the wrong people who do nothing
Yeah.
but bring you down.
And I think,
Shouldn't have trusted them, but you did, so that's on you.
and then that comes back to, you have to trust yourself. Anytime I've ever been wrong about somebody, it's because I went against my gut and I said, you know what, maybe they're a good person. Maybe they've got this, this, and this to them. When the reality is, I was shown exactly who they were right up front.
Yeah.
And I knew that, and I chose to sidestep it. I chose to go around it. I chose to say, well, they're like that because of this. And this was going on in their life at that time. So they were just in a rough patch, whatever it is. I always had an excuse for it. But the whole time my gut was screaming at me, no, this isn't okay. This isn't for you. So in order to trust other people, you got to trust yourself.
You think there's certain like red flags that pop up and inconsistencies in people, and that should signal to you maybe this person needs you in their life, but maybe you don't need to be trusting them as much as much as you want. So
Facts.
it's hard. How do you then like allow yourself to be available for this person who probably does need you and does need your influence, but then it's just the tiny little things, the littlest little inconsistencies in people that you can pick up on that lead to, maybe I shouldn't trust this person. And maybe you listen to that, maybe you don't. If you're like me, you don't. So there's
now.
that. How do you deal with that betrayal? It's hard. I mean, I know you want to say take accountability for it, but then you say, oh well, you want to believe the best in people. It's a delicate balance, because if you don't open yourself up and trust these people, you might be accused of being like cold and walled off, and there's that. How do you deal with that? How do we even life anymore? I don't even know how to life. Tell me how to life, Olivia.
I don't know how to life. I barely know how to adult. I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
These aren't easy questions. This is not easy questions that I'm bringing up. I mean, I don't think I've ever thought about this stuff in my life before, because, who do I have to talk about it with? I don't have anybody to talk about it with, and I don't really care to talk about it with anybody.
But here you are talking about it.
But here I am talking about it, so it's all right.
How do you deal with betrayal?
Yeah. Like, because
same-
if we're talking about trust today, which we weren't planning on talking about
Not
trust,
even remotely.
but if we are, then along with trust becomes the opposite of trust, which is antitrust, betrayal, just devastation.
How do you deal with it the same way you deal with anything else traumatic? You deal with it in the way you know how. You find a healthy way, and that's going to look different for everybody. Like for me, dealing with betrayal, the only thing that I know to say is to be accountable for it, because I look at this situation. You even know one of the things that happened to me recently, where, things that I would have liked to have been kept private were just kind of thrown out to the world.
Yeah.
And okay, it is what it is.
You allowed this person to know certain things about you, and they used it against you.
And that's where I'm at with it, is it's not a lie. And that's more, at least in my eyes, that's more of a reflection on that person than it is on me. Because I'm not...
But there's still these emotions that you have to deal with that related to it.
Yeah, there's emotions, but really the only emotion that I had was laughter, which is not even an emotion. But I saw it and I laughed because I said, oh, okay. So
I think
that's
there's
where
an
we're
emotion
at.
tied to that. We just don't have the name for it.
There's not. It was just,
There's
what emotion would that be?
there's ways to teach yourself how to deal with disappointment and betrayal, and that's not something that I think we can get into here because again, we're not mental health professionals.
Might need a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Yeah,
or
I
a
mean,
life
so
coach.
it could be like even it could be something small, but if you never learn how to deal with betrayal and deal with disappointment, then it's just going to be a long, like 80 to 90 years.
Hopefully.
Hopefully
80 to 90.
Hopefully it's 80 to 90 years, but you know, it's not even something that it's not something that you instinctively know how to deal with. I think that talking to somebody, certainly not listening to our podcast because we don't know. We
have no idea.
We know
Clearly.
how we've dealt with it.
In
We
case
don't
our
know
answer
how
to
you
questions.
need to deal with it, but maybe seek out a therapist, seek out a life coach, seek out
Or-
somebody who actually gets paid to do this because God knows we don't.
We're just doing this for fun.
Yeah,
This is a lot of fun.
I am having fun. I feel like maybe it's not fun sometimes when we're like, you know, digging down deep, but
Man, we keep doing that too.
I warned you.
Yeah, you did. Oh, well.
You warned me.
I don't know. I'm still over here pondering how do you deal with it because I'm really comfortable with negative emotions and all of that stuff. So for me, dealing with it is like just sitting with it for a while.
Yeah.
And feeling my feelings about it and then working past it. But I don't know. It's like the authenticity aspect. Is there an answer for this? Or does it look different for everybody? There's just certain
It
things you have
definitely
to
looks
come to
different
terms
for
with.
everybody, you know. I don't take criticism well.
No, you don't.
I know that about myself, and I know that I can't avoid it. So I'm just going to have to learn how to deal with it. But again, it's accepting those truths about yourself. Like I know criticism, even constructive criticism, is really hard for me, and I don't get to avoid those situations just because I don't like them and they make me uncomfortable. But it's going back to the introspection and really knowing who you are, how you're going to deal with that. For me, it's different. For you, it's different.
For everybody.
For
it's
everybody,
different.
it's different. So if you need help doing that, accept the help.
Always
Find
accept
help.
the help. Mm-hmm. And maybe part of trust is, I'm going to go back to it even though I've already said it. You have to trust yourself before you can trust anybody else. You have to trust yourself to have good judgment. Trust yourself to make good decisions. And if you override your gut, you're going to struggle to trust other people because there's always going to be that part of you wondering, was this the right call? Was this the right choice for me?
Eventually, you're just going to have to accept that this is what happened. Even, the choices that you made happened and the consequences are there. You're going to have to move on.
You can't live in pity.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a
awful.
miserable place to be.
It is. So maybe we just start small. Maybe that's what all of this is coming down to with trust. You start small and you start with when you're at the grocery store and there are creepy men around you and then they knock on your car window.
Trust yourself.
Trust your gut, guys. Lock the doors, roll the window down this much, and then drive away very quickly. Mm-hmm. Because by doing little things like that, without opening yourself up to anybody, you're trusting your gut and
That's
saying
learning
this
to
could have
trust
been a bad
your
situation.
inner circle, right?
Because you are your inner circle.
Because you are your inner circle, and so that's learning
Yeah.
to trust. And then eventually you can
branch out into all these other ones and
Yeah.
who's going to be put in what category. Who do you trust with what? But
and you're gonna make mistakes.
everybody does.
You're gonna
Mistakes can be
have people
fun.
disappoint you. You're gonna have people, betray your trust, and that's okay.
Am I weird for
We all
that,
do
though?
it.
I think mistakes are fun.
Do you? I'm
I-
terrified of them.
Like, it's not that I like making mistakes, but I would rather make a mistake and learn from it than do everything perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you a little bit of variety.
It does. I mean,
Variety.
you can't go through life completely unscathed. Mm-hmm. You can try. It'd be boring. But yeah, just start by trusting yourself before you branch out to other people.
Yeah.
Trust your gut.
And don't get in the car with crazy old ladies.
Yeah, don't do that.
Or don't unlock your door for people that you don't know.
Yeah.
Who says you left it. Still cannot. I can't. Olivia, you could have been killed.
Yeah, but
you could have been sold. I know. I'm dwelling in the what ifs, and I can't right now. I just can't.
It's so nice to know that you care that I wasn't abducted.
I do care. I don't want to like wake up and find out that this person that I've invested all of this time into is gone.
Just gone. Disappeared. Well, I wouldn't
If you want me to be sentimental about this, I'm not going to be
sentimental.
sentimental.
All you'd have to do is call Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very special set of skills. I don't know how he talks.
I will find you.
I think that was more
and
Sean Connery.
Oh
my gosh. I think these people are done.
Yeah, probably. We should probably be done. So how do we end this?
I don't know.
Don't open the car door for strangers. When, as a child walking by yourself, don't get in the car with strangers.
Right.
What else?
Find the people that you can trust.
But trust yourself first.
Trust yourself first. And just, even if you're not used to letting people in, just crack the door a little.
Just a tiny bit.
It probably won't hurt. And even if it does.
Hopefully it doesn't. It might.
Crack the door open for someone. And work on your Liam Neeson impersonation.
I think we need that more than they do.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe just go watch Taken.
Go watch Taken.
Watch Taken. It's going to be a good night. Don't watch Taken 2 or 3.
Is it bad?
It's not bad. It's just overkill.
All right.
You can't.
How many times can somebody be taken? All right. Anyway. We'll see you next week, guys.
Later.
Bye.
How many times can somebody be taken?